Our next guest is the Community Relations Official at the Penrickton Center for Blind Children, one of nearly 300 charities and nonprofits that are supported on the Shared Detroit platform. Janet Ames joins us now on the Michigan Megacast. Janet, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us. Happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you on as well. Thank you for joining us today. First of all, just give us a little bit of information on the Penrickton Center and the services that it provides to individuals in our communities.
Sure, I'd love to. Penrickton Center for Blind Children is located in Taylor, which is right near Metro Airport, if you're not familiar. But we work with children from all over southeastern Michigan and beyond, as well as northern Ohio. The kids in our program are all at least legally blind. And in addition to that, they have other disabilities like cerebral palsy, developmental delay, seizure disorders, autism, a whole variety of things, making each of our children very unique in their abilities and their disabilities.
And what about the history of this organization? It's got an interesting background. How did the name come up? And I'm assuming it's named after a person who did something significant in this particular community.
That's absolutely true. It's actually named after three very important people. 70 years ago, the Penmans, the Rickers, and the Wigingtons, so Penrickton, came together. Two of the families had children who were blind. And at that time, in the 50s, there was no services for children who were blind. And so the families got together and said, hey, let's start our own little preschool. And it grew from there. So throughout those 70 years, Penrickton has evolved to work with the community, not with kids who are just blind, but kids who have the multiple disabilities. So in the mid 70s, special education came to be. And so kids who are just blind could just go to school in their local school district. And our environment was really more appropriate for families who have children who have multiple impairments.
We're joined by Janet Ames, the Community Relations Specialist at Penrickton Center for Blind Children, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. The center, located in Taylor, is one of nearly 300 charities and nonprofits supported by Shared Detroit on the Shared Detroit platform. More information can be found on shareddetroit.org by looking in their Find a Nonprofit section. So, Janet, what are some of those programs and services that are provided by the center, and how do people in Taylor and in surrounding communities in Michigan access those services if they themselves are blind or their children are blind or multi-disabled, as you said?
Yes. So the kids that we work with are all between the ages of 1 and 12 years old. Okay. And we have three programs. The first is a residential program where the kids can actually stay overnight. So if we draw from about a 2-hour driving distance. So our maximum amount of time is Monday through Friday, where the kids stay overnight with us. And then we also have a daycare program, like any other daycare. But once again, the kids are blind and multiply handicapped. Kids come in the morning, leave at night, or come in after school and leave in the evening. And then our third program, which during COVID is actually really grown, is our consultation program. And we could work with children that are across the street or on the other side of the world. And we'll do a video conference, much like this, where we'll work with their families and their support people, teachers, therapists, extended family, that kind of thing. And we would try to do as much of an assessment as we can when we're remote like this, and be able to provide some guidance and advice over what kind of activities, how to set goals that are appropriate for the children, and different resources that would be available in their local community.
More information can be found on penrickton.org. That's penrickton.org, PENRICKTON.org, for the Penrickton Center for Blind Children. Joining us on the Megacast, we have Janet Ames from the organization with us on the program. You can also find more info on shareddetroit.org. That's shareddetroit.org. And so where can people go? Obviously, your website's one way that they can sign up for these programs, but are there other ways if people do not have access to the internet or are unable to go through the processes required through the internet, that they can get some intervention and some help from an organization like yours?
Yes, families can always call us, but we also, families can just come by as well. So we are open Monday through Friday. And if we've had families that have just walked in to get information and, to kind of see what the place looks like when they're just dropping in like that. So we have a social worker who's full-time, who works closely with all the families that are coming in. Our program is really designed to be a partnership with the families. Almost all of the children in our program have brothers and sisters without disabilities. And so our focus is not just what can we do to help a child be as independent as possible? What can we do to also help the siblings understand what's going on with the disabilities, to be able to explain it to their peers, as well as to help give the parents the skills they'll need for the long haul. So for a lifetime of being an advocate for their child, learning to, kind of dig up resources, select different equipment they might need. So our focus is not only with the children, but with the whole family unit. So I like to always, kind of point out that it's a partnership with the parents and our program. I also want to add that our families come, I mentioned about a 2-hour driving distance, but they come from every walk of life. There is no charge for our services, and the families qualify if their child qualifies. So we have families from every ethnic, educational, social, economic, education, religious, every family is very different, but they come to Penrickton because they have a child who'll benefit from our services.
We're joined by Janet Ames, the Community Relations Specialist at the Penrick Center for Blind Children, joining us on the Michigan Megacast. More information, again, penrickton.org. That's penrickton.org, penrickton.org for more information and to sign up for services as well. You can also get in contact with them by calling their main phone number at 734-946-7500. That's 734-946-7500 for more information. And so earlier this spring, the Penrickton Center became the recipient of a very generous gift from Lincoln of Troy that is utilized every day by your center. Can you tell us about that gift and how it is utilized to provide your services?
It was actually a gift that was in coordination with the Variety, the children's charity.
Okay.
And they had decades ago had given us a wheelchair van. And in the last 20 years, we've actually upgraded the lift for the children. Many of our children are in wheelchairs. I didn't really mention that, but because of the cerebral palsy or other orthopedic problems. But we were able to upgrade the lift over the years, do some work on the inside. But the van was getting very old. And so Lincoln of Troy actually replaced all the tires. They did a lot of work that's underneath the hood to make sure that it's safe, the brakes, things like that, to make sure that it's safe for us to go out and about. So the children that are in our program, we want them to have as many real life experiences as possible. So not only do we have a fabulous playground in our backyard, we bring in horses and petting farm kind of animals, but also the kids go out and about to the movies, to the restaurants, to the parks, to a baseball game, to wherever you would go with any other kids. Bowling's a big deal here too. So wherever you would take other children, our kids go, and our staff are very specially trained so that they know how to make that experience relevant to the child as well as meaningful, so that there's a lot of interaction.
You have some fun events also coming up very soon. Can you tell us about your Ride for a Reason event and how people can participate and support your organization by participating in this event?
Yes, thank you. Penrickton, we do not receive state, federal, or United Way funds. 100% of everything we do. So all this fun stuff you see behind me in this room, plus all the staff that make this work, the money that puts the lights on over our head is given to us by people in the community. Individuals, groups, organizations. And one of the organizations that's been very involved with Penrickton is the Harley Owners Group, so the hog chapters. So Motown Harley, which is also located here in Taylor, is helping to sponsor our 22nd annual Ride for a Reason. And it'll be held on June 5th. We start in Dundee, Michigan. There's check-in at 10 a.m. and the ride leaves promptly at noon. It's a nonstop ride, so the lights are blocked so that the riders can just have a nice leisurely ride all the way up to Taylor, where it's about a 2-hour ride where there'll be some music and raffles and food. Thanks to Variety Food Service for the food. We also have support through Cabela's, which is where the ride starts, as well as Motown and the Hog chapters that are involved, and some of the motorcycle clubs. So this event is very important for Penrickton. It not only gives us some visibility because we're a small nonprofit, but it gives us those much needed funds to keep our program going and to make we have the highest quality services here for our children and their families.
And Janet, just another couple minutes with you before we'll need to say goodbye today. I want to also give an opportunity, if people would like to help the organization, what are some ways, both financially and, of course, with volunteer hours as well, that they can help the Penrickton Center at this time?
We love to have volunteers, which is how we're involved with Share Detroit, which is how this interview came to be. But our volunteers are very critical. We're a small staff. We need people to do everything from some mail kind of, stuffing mail and folding letters, to pulling weeds, to painting on walls, to we have volunteers that are trained with our to work with our kids, and they help us with our horseback riding program. So volunteers are very very critical for us to be successful. So going through our website, we have a volunteer tab on that, as well as through Share Detroit, and you can always call us as well. So it's a very important part of our program. So we couldn't do it without all the people that support us. So not only financially and with your time, but we also need things that we all need in everyday homes, like garbage bags and food. Our food program, we really work hard to take advantage of all the food that people donate to us, whether it's fresh produce. We had recently somebody who donated a whole cow to us. They had it processed, and we got all the beef. So anything that you would use in your own home, we would use here. So we do make our meals from scratch. So we have a full-time cook. So that just donating food is also really impacts the way we can have our program.
Janet, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your time and for telling us so much more about this great organization located in Taylor, Michigan.
Thank you for your time. It was a pleasure to be here.